And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Welcome to the show. Hey, my name is Al Gordon, in case you don't know who I am, and I'm a member of Lifestyles Unlimited. Oh, what's that? I know. What is Lifestyles Unlimited? Sounds like a swingers club, right? It's not. That's a bad joke. It's not a swingers club. It is a real estate investor education and mentoring company. That's what Lifestyles Unlimited does. And I became a member a while back. It was literally 9 years ago when I became a member. And I did so because I had a problem. I had a retirement problem. I had retired from the United States Army after 27 years of service, earned a pension, tried to live off that pension, couldn't do it. Had to go back into the workforce because that's the only thing I knew was to trade time for money, and that's how I funded my household. And then after I went back to work and was working for an organization, and I wasn't too happy with the job, wasn't too happy with the organization, didn't exactly see eye to eye with what they were doing, and I was getting frustrated. And then into my life comes Lifestyles Unlimited. Yeah, out of nowhere. I mean, I heard them on the radio, and they were sharing information with me that was realistic, pretty much addressed the issues I was going through. Addressed the fact that I was frustrated in my job, addressed the fact that I had a retirement problem, although it was difficult for me to put my pride in my back pocket and accept the fact that I had a retirement problem, but I did. And really, the retirement problem was an income problem. It really was an income problem. I learned from Lifestyles Unlimited how to replace my income. I learned how to invest correctly in real estate. Now, I had been investing in real estate for a good 20 plus years prior to becoming a member of Lifestyles Unlimited. But I was doing it wrong. I didn't know I was doing it wrong. I'm serious. I had no idea I was doing it wrong, but I was doing it wrong. So how did I know I was doing it wrong? Well, I checked out Lifestyles Unlimited. I did, just like you ought to do. And I looked into what they were going to share with me, just like I think you ought to do. And what I found out was that they were really there to help me. Membership in the organization is all-encompassing. When you become a member of Lifestyles Unlimited, you're not only buying an education, you're buying a community. Now, when I say buying, there is a fee to become a member. It's not a ridiculous fee. If you go to lifestylesunlimited.com and click on Start Here, you can go through everything to do your basic research on Lifestyles Unlimited. And it'll give you an idea of what it's going to cost you to become a member. And I'm telling you that price is an excellent price. So what about those of you that come from a different lane? Didn't invest in real estate, didn't do it wrong, didn't have to join Lifestyles Unlimited to find out what exactly you were doing wrong so that you could correct it, which I did. What about those of you that are invested in the stock market? I mean, the stock market's on fire, right? Doesn't get any better than this, right? Until it doesn't. The stock market will do what the stock market's going to do. The stock market is healthy right now. People are making equity gains in the stock market. But how long can that hold? When does it all come crashing down? Does it happen during a Trump presidency? Does it happen after a Trump presidency? I don't know. I really don't know. And neither do you. But here's what I know. It's probably going to happen to you. Now, you may not know this, but the founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley, was a victim of Black Monday. Now, many of you don't even know what I'm referring to, Black Monday. What is that? Well, that's something that happened on October 19th of 1987, where the stock market imploded. And Del flat out says he watched his life savings disappear in a single day. He had done everything right by conventional standards, had a diverse portfolio with the help of a trusted advisor, had a long-term focus, and then it happened, Black Monday. He says that day changed how he thought about money. If the stock market could erase years of savings overnight, he wanted to understand how other people were building wealth, so that wealth that they could see, wealth that they could touch, wealth that they could verify with their own eyes. And the answer was simply real estate. Buying income-producing properties based on numbers he could analyze himself. Not suggestions from other people, not tips, not speculation, just the numbers. So in 1990, Del founded Lifestyles Unlimited to build a disciplined framework serious investors could rely upon, where the hype ends and the help begins. And today, I'm proud to say Del was successful. We have tens of thousands of members of Lifestyles Unlimited that operate inside that same structure. See, that's what Lifestyles is all about. We call it Lifestyles. The proper name is Lifestyles Unlimited. That is the proper terminology for the organization. What I'm going to do for you in the next segment is I'm going to share with you some information that you already know. Stick around. Welcome back to the show. So I'm going to do it to you right now. I'm going to tell you something you already know, because I know what you're doing. I know exactly what you're doing. You're doing the same things that I used to do when you were, trying to figure this real estate investing thing out. Whether you are a real estate investor currently, like I used to be, or you're somebody that's exploring real estate, you've been trying to get information. You've been trying to solve the problem. You have been trying to, well, some of you, let's just call it what it is. Some of you are trying to figure out how to get this done without paying anybody any money. Okay, I mean, that's a viable way to try and do it. But I'll tell you, once you go to lifestylesunlimited.com and you click on Start Here and you see what it costs to become a member of Lifestyles Unlimited, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. You can't help but want to become a member because the price point is so, well, there's no barrier there. There really isn't much of a barrier. So I think you need to go to lifestylesunlimited.com and check it out. So let me share with you the stuff that you already know, because you've been reading the blogs, you've been watching the videos, you probably know what a cap rate is, or at least you think you do. You've heard of a 1031 exchange. You've heard me talk about cash on cash returns ad nauseum on this show. So then when you go to an actual real estate property listing, when you look at something that's being advertised to you, you still don't know if it's a solid deal or if it's a serious mistake. Now, that's not an information problem, because people already have way too much information. Trust me, you're getting bombarded with information just like I am. What's missing is a repeatable process you can trust when real money is on the line. See that gap right there between knowing about real estate and knowing how to evaluate it is where most aspiring investors stay stuck. They get into that gap and they stay there, sometimes for months, sometimes for years. Some people call it analysis paralysis, and it's real. It occurs. So what is Lifestyles Unlimited doing about this? What does Lifestyles Unlimited do for you that can help you resolve this problem? The Investor Skills Intensive. Yeah, the Investor Skills Intensive. And you're like, what is that? Well, that is part of what you get when you become a Lifestyles Unlimited member. See, when you go to lifestylesunlimited.com and you click on Start Here and you look through the information that's available to you and you get to the bottom, you can see the price point for becoming a member of Lifestyles Unlimited. And as a part of that price point, you get the Investor Skills Intensive. It's a 16-hour live, fully immersive course about how we invest in real estate, what we do, how we do. It gives you the fundamental foundation, the building blocks for everything you're going to do as a Lifestyles Unlimited member. And along with that 16-hour immersion, you get a community full of events. You get a full resource library. You get a network of active investors. You show up, you participate, you apply what you learn, structure keeps you engaged, community keeps you accountable. Is that something you need? It was something I needed. It was absolutely something that I needed because I didn't have all that stuff. I didn't. As a matter of fact, when I was buying real estate, back when I was the big smart real estate investor before becoming a member of Lifestyles Unlimited, I was paying full retail prices for my real estate because I didn't know any better. I'm serious. I did not know any better. That all changed with Lifestyles Unlimited because they taught me a system to follow. And there's three things every deal comes down to. And once you understand those things, you can stop the guessing, you can start analyzing. And I do this on the show repeatedly. I know I drive some of you crazy because I'm always talking about, well, we're going to analyze the deal now. Some of you love it. Some of you are like, oh, again? Well, yeah, again. Again, because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you figure out whether or not the asset you're looking at is viable or not. The first thing you have to do is evaluate the real deal. Strip away the seller's story because it doesn't matter. Look at what's actually there. What's the condition of the property? What are the costs? What are the real risks? Most deals look very differently once you can see them clearly. The next thing you've got to do is perform an honest cash flow projection. If the numbers don't work on paper, they're not going to work in real life. So you're going to learn to build a projection that accounts for vacancy, maintenance, management, taxes, insurance, capital reserves, and not the optimistic version of what you think the property is going to do when you don't apply all of those things to your methodology. And the third thing you've got to understand, and this is going to be difficult for a lot of you, is the power of leverage and how to use debt. Now, most of you think debt is bad. It's evil. It's something to be eradicated in your life. And I would say that is true for certain forms of debt, like consumer debt, credit card debt, that kind of debt. That's bad debt. But when you're using debt to leverage an income producing property, it's a different story. See, debt can build wealth or it can wipe you out. And you need to understand the difference before you sign anything. The Investor Skills Intensive teaches you how to evaluate leverage so you know when it works in your favor and when it doesn't. Now, let me be real clear with everything that I'm telling you right now, because I'm in education mode right now. I am in the process of educating you. What I am presenting to you right now is education. It's not investment advice. Everybody within the sound of my voice needs to understand that real estate investing carries risk, including potential loss of capital. It could happen, and it does happen. But you can avoid it by educating yourself correctly and minimizing the risk. In the next segment, I'm going to talk about what's really inside the Investor Skills Intensive. Stick around. Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, we're working on your investor skills. Yeah, that's what we're doing. And what I'm doing is I'm sharing with you some information that's going to change your life. I firmly believe that. And the reason I believe that is because it changed my life. Now, I was a casual real estate investor. I owned several different properties. I owned multiple doors, and I thought I was doing real estate the right way. But I wasn't getting the benefits that are talked about on this show. I wasn't. I would listen to Lifestyles Unlimited on the radio back then, and they would talk about cash flow. They would talk about equity capture. They would talk about those two things. And I would listen to what they were all saying. And I was taken back because I wasn't getting those things. Because I was buying my properties full retail value, so I wasn't capturing any equity in the deal. I actually had negative cash flow on my assets because I was following a different methodology than what Lifestyles Unlimited teaches. And I thought that was permissible. And one of the things that Lifestyles Unlimited makes very clear right up front is that if the property doesn't have the potential to cash flow at least $200 per month, it's probably not worth it. It's probably best to move past that property and go on to the next one. The Investor Skills Intensive is where every Lifestyles Unlimited member starts. It's kind of like boot camp, but we're not calling it boot camp because no one's going to be yelling at you. No one's going to make you do a bunch of push-ups. What we're going to do is we're going to educate you. And it takes 16 hours to get it done. There's a couple different ways we can do it. You can spend your weekend with us, or you can do it midweek in the evenings. We find those are the most convenient times available for our newest members, on the weekends or in the evenings midweek. So that's when we offer the instruction. So you're going to get the 16-hour class, and here's the thing. You can take it as many times as you want until you feel comfortable with all the information. Many people take the Investor Skills Intensive course one time, and they everything clicks. They're good. Other people, they click in some areas, and they're like, yeah, I need to do a little more homework in this area because I'm not sure I got it. Not a problem. You just attend the next Investor Skills Intensive that makes sense for your time availability. And you pick up the education again. See, we're all about educating you at Lifestyles Unlimited. That's what it's all about. The training is all about how to evaluate single-family deals and get you to multifamily apartment community investing using the same analytical framework taught to experienced investors. We offer the course in person at locations nationwide, or you can do it online. What else do you get when you become a member? Well, you get something called the Investor Journey Nights. Now, these are a complement to the 16-hour educational training, the Investor Skills Intensive. See, at these live events, our community members walk you through their real estate experiences. You get to see decisions they've made, what worked, what didn't, and you get one a month. It's all you need is one a month. But it's going to get you connected to the Lifestyles Unlimited community. In addition to that, you get 24/7 member portal access. What is that? A member portal access. Well, that's where everything digital lives at Lifestyles Unlimited. Your educational resources, your analysis tools, your training videos covering financing, property management, due diligence, and more. It's available 24/7. It's available when you're available. And that's a good thing, because this is pretty much a self-paced educational process. You go as fast as you want, you go as slow as you want, except for the 16-hour intensive skills training. That just goes the way it goes. And you're going to love it because you're going to learn a lot from it. You get access to our vendor marketplace. What is that, a vendor marketplace? Well, it's going to give you an opportunity to connect with professionals, including lenders, attorneys, accountants, inspectors, contractors. Now, you're responsible for your own due diligence when selecting service providers, but we're going to teach you how to evaluate them and to make better decisions when you select them. It's all part of what we do. And the vendor marketplace offers things that we call lunch and learns. I just did one the other day. It was talking about an organization that is providing leasing access to small property owners, and that's kind of right in line with what I want to do. It allows you to have nobody present to do a showing on your property. And it's all computerized, it's all protected, and it's all part of a comprehensive leasing service. It's a new system. And they're reaching out to Lifestyles Unlimited members because, well, we're the kind of people that could benefit from a service like that. Now, there's a cost to it, so we have to evaluate that cost. And we have to determine whether or not that cost makes sense for our business approach. But if it does, we'll probably hire those people. If it doesn't, we'll pass. It's as simple as that. Now I think the biggest thing that you get when you become a Lifestyles Unlimited member is you get community access. You get a network of members at every stage, from people evaluating their first deal to investors with decades of experience. And you know what you get to do? You get to ask questions. And you get to share in their analysis when they share it with you. It's really cool to learn from people that are just a few steps ahead of you or a lot of steps ahead of you. I know this firsthand because I valued the community of Lifestyles Unlimited. That has been the one biggest takeaway from Lifestyles Unlimited membership that I've had over the last 9 years, is my community access. The number of wonderful people that I've met, many of them that I call friends now, that I can reach out to you if I have a question. Or, I can see what they're posting on Facebook and I can like it. It's kind of cool. And we speak a different language. We do. You'll learn our language as you go through the Investor Skills Intensive. And it's not hard to pick up. It's not like, English with a crazy dialect accent. No, it's just typical English. And we use some of our own terminology as Lifestyles Unlimited members. You'll You'll learn what that is. You'll learn what the proper terminology is, and you'll learn what our Lifestyles Unlimited slang is, and you'll learn when to use it, when not to use it. It's all part of the joy of being a Lifestyles Unlimited member. So you want to get started? Well, I think you ought to get started. I think you ought to join Lifestyles Unlimited and get yourself slotted for a seat in the Investor Skills Intensive. Now, there's 4 easy ways to get started. Number 1, go to lifestylesunlimited.com. When you click there, when you get there, I should say, click on Start Here. I'm all tongue-tied because I'm excited that you're going to join. I really am. So what we're going to do in the next segment is we're going to talk about how the whole thing actually works. You're going to love this. Stick around. Welcome back to the show. So Lifestyles Unlimited, when you become a member, it's going to take a little work on your part. I know you don't want to hear that because you've heard all about us talking about how we do things passively. We're passively invested in real estate. Not all Lifestyles Unlimited members are completely passively invested. Some are actively invested, but a lot of them are passively invested. But let me just tell you this. In the beginning, you are not passive. You are active. And here's why. Here's what it actually takes to become a member of Lifestyles Unlimited, to go through what you need to go through and emerge as a real estate investor on the other side. First of all, you're going to get a structured real estate investment framework. It's time-tested. We've been teaching this for over 35 years simply because it works. You're going to get 16 hours of in-person instruction from an active real estate investor who also has a gift of educating you. You're going to get membership in Lifestyles Unlimited with ongoing learning resources. Now, that membership is a 1-year membership. Now, that's important to point out because at the end of a year, you may decide you've received everything that you've received from Lifestyles Unlimited, and you're going to move on. And you're going to continue to invest without the Lifestyles Unlimited community. Or you do like just about every other Lifestyles Unlimited member does. You just renew your membership in future years because it gives you access to all of the ongoing information and education and community activities and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's just important. It's important. You're going to get a community of people actively evaluating and investing. That's what they're doing. They're figuring out what right looks like. And you're going to get an honest look at how property investing works. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We're going to tell you what real looks like. Now, what about your requirement? What's this going to take on your part? Well, it's going to take 16 hours for the intensive. Plus, it's going to take some ongoing monthly engagement. That's not like, another 16 hours. That's maybe a couple hours more on top of what you're doing. You can do as much or as little as you want. It's going to require some effort on your part. Training is rigorous. It moves fast. We're going to hit you with a fire hose, and you need to keep up. It's going to require judgment on your part. We're going to teach you the framework. You're going to make the decisions. That's how we roll. It's going to require your patience. Learning to evaluate deals takes some practice. There's no shortcuts. I practiced many, 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 many times before I felt like I understood what the numbers were telling me. And I do understand what the numbers are telling me now. It's a beautiful thing. And the last thing it's going to require is going to require your capital. If you eventually invest, it will be your own money at risk. Does that scare you? Well, it shouldn't, because that's just the reality of life. Even with what you're doing for investing now, your money is at risk. In that stock market, your money is at risk. It is at risk. Now, let me point out something that I think is very important to point out. Learning comes before capital. If you're still building savings, this is the right time to study the framework. The most expensive mistake you can make in real estate investing is buying a property you should have never bought. We want you to learn the analytical process now so that you're prepared and you're ready to deploy capital when it's time. And even if you're sitting on a bunch of capital and you're ready to go, resist the urge until you complete the educational requirements. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to get yourself into a situation that you cannot get out of. Does that make sense? Now, I think membership in Lifestyles Unlimited is for you. I do. I mean, the fact that you're still here listening to this episode indicates to me that you want more information. But I'll tell you what, Lifestyles Unlimited is not for everybody. It's not. We don't want everybody to join. So who is it not for? Well, I think the best way to describe that is to describe the Investor Skills Intensive, that 16-hour course, and what it's designed for and what it's designed to do. It's designed for people who want to understand real estate investing through disciplined analysis and long-term thinking. It's not the right fit for everybody. It may not be a good fit for you if you're looking for quick money. Real estate investing rewards discipline. People who treat it like a shortcut are the ones who make expensive mistakes. This program may not be a good fit for you if you prefer motivation over analysis. See, the Investor Skills Intensive focuses on numbers, evaluation frameworks, decision making. It's not a motivational seminar. It's a practical skill building environment. And it's important. It's very important to your development. This program may not be a good fit for you if you want someone else to make decisions for you. That's the number one way people lose money. We teach the framework. Your investment decisions are always your responsibility. They're not my responsibility. They're not Lifestyles Unlimited's responsibility. As a matter of fact, Lifestyles Unlimited doesn't even invest with you. That's not what Lifestyles Unlimited does. And this program may not be a good fit for you if you're not prepared to spend time learning the framework. Training moves fast and it requires focus. Members who benefit most are the ones who engage with the material and apply the process over time. So if you're looking for hype, promises, or a done-for-you investing program, there's plenty of other options out there. But if you want a structured framework and a serious community of investors, you will absolutely be at home at Lifestyles Unlimited. I'm serious. So, what should we talk about for the rest of the episode? Should we talk more about you becoming a member of Lifestyles Unlimited? Well, if you don't know how to do it, here's how you do it. Go to lifestylesunlimited.com. When you get there, click on Start Here. And then scroll to the part where it says Join the Investor Skills Intensive. And it's going to give you a price point. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to say what the price point is over the air because it's subject to change. It could change. But I will tell you that the price point that I'm looking at, which is the price point that's available to you, is better than the price point I paid when I became a member of Lifestyles Unlimited 9 years ago. You're getting an even better value to become a member than I had when I became a member. Now, you might be thinking, wow, Al, you might be getting a little bitter there. Are you getting bitter, Al? No, I'm not getting bitter. I'm actually happy for you. I'm glad that Dell has been able to refine the process and refine the price point to get it down as low as reasonably possible. I mean, after all, it still costs money to provide all these resources for you. But I think that's a great price point to get involved with Lifestyles Unlimited. The skills you build inside the Investor Skills Intensive, they compound over time. Remember when I told you earlier that they're foundational skill sets? That's exactly what they are. We're going to teach you foundational skill sets. The sooner you understand how to evaluate a deal, the sooner you're going to stop depending on other people's opinions and start relying on your own analysis. Every month spent consuming free content without I can't even say it. Every month spent consuming free content without a real framework is another month in the same place. The education is available to you. The community is available to you. The schedule is live. The only thing missing is the person staring back at you in the mirror. So what's holding you back? Is it a fear of failing? Is it a fear of the unknown? Is it a fear of not admitting that you need some help? Well, I'll tell you, I've had all those fears myself. And what you ought to do with those fears, you ought to take them and dump them in the trash can. Because what's waiting for you at Lifestyles Unlimited is an experience no other organization can provide you. Lifestyles Unlimited has been doing this for over 35 years, changing investors' lives just like mine. And I'm not the only member. I am not. There are tens of thousands of members of Lifestyles Unlimited that have learned the methodology for real estate investing, that have learned the methodology for changing the income streams in our lives, that have learned that there is a better way to our future than what we're currently doing. And you're the one currently doing. If you want to do what I'm doing, you want to do what the members of Lifestyles Unlimited are doing. Go to lifestylesunlimited.com, click on Start Here, and let's get you going.
Thank you for listening to Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Ready for more of the map? Visit lifestylesunlimited.com. Explore our videos and articles. Click on the radio tab to access past show podcasts. View the radio show schedule and listen to our best of radio shows. Want to continue the conversation? Follow Lifestyles Unlimited on Facebook today. We want to meet you as well. Sign up for a free workshop at lifestylesunlimited.com. Until next time, remember, it's not the money, it's the lifestyle.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this station, its affiliates, its management, or advertisers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.